Hey, what's happening, my fearless networking friend? Todd Falcone here. Welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to chat a little bit about this concept of going from knowing to doing and bridging that gap. Look, I mean, there's plenty of intel out there. There's plenty of information out there. There's plenty of places to learn and to grow. But here's the thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to get stuck in the learning, you know, the spinning circle of learning, or whatever we want to call it, where you're constantly learning. And I'm not saying, by the way, I mean, you guys are here to learn, which is great, but it's the application that makes the biggest difference. And unfortunately, a lot of people get into this cycle of constantly learning but never doing. And this guy's not here to argue with me. I've mentioned this a few times, and he'd probably, if he comes out of his grave, he's probably going to attack me for saying this. But Sir Francis Bacon in the 1800s is the guy that termed the phrase or coined the phrase "knowledge is power," and I disagree with that. I think knowledge is nice, knowledge is cool to have, but knowledge is powerless until it's put into use. Okay, so it's something, it's good to have, but if you have all this knowledge but you don't do anything with the knowledge, then there's gonna be a problem. So here's something I can tell you for me personally that I do, and that's been a habit of mine for a long time, and perhaps you can take at least this one concept out of what I'm sharing with you today and then go and apply it into your business. Again, the application is the key word. Right? So, for example, if I read a book or if I go to an event, first of all, if I'm reading a book, I prefer a physical book because I can highlight it, I can underline it. I don't have a Kindle. It's just, I mean, nothing wrong with Kindles. That's just, maybe you can highlight those. I don't even know. I've never even owned one. But I like having a physical book. And as I'm going through a book or as I'm taking notes on something, I will go through that and take notes from, let's say it's a book. I'll take notes from the book, key things that of course, if you're highlighting something, it's a highlight too. It's something that's stuck out for you. And I'll take that and I'll put it into a permanent journal. So I've got, where's my journal? One of my journals is right here. So I'll take that and put it into a journal and then figure out, okay, well, how can I then implement that idea, the concept that I learned into my business, and I do my best to immediately, in some way, shape, or form, implement that idea, whether it's a video that I watched, a seminar that I attended, a book that I read, a marketing email that I received. I mean, I can even recall years ago, there was an email that I received from Frank Kern, who is an incredible direct marketer, guy's a legendary online entrepreneur, and he actually sent out an email that was, he was selling me something, right? It was a sales email, but I got the series of these 4 emails, and I was like, wow, that's a really interesting sales strategy. And I took the 4 emails. Now, in this case, I didn't even buy anything from Frank. I took the emails and shifted them, changed them, and applied them into my business. I structured the emails, set it up to the campaign to go out, and I went out on a cruise for a week. And I think it was I made like 15 grand from that 4 series campaign of emails that I got the idea from Frank. But the thing is, again, it's about implementation. So one of the things you got to ask yourself: Are you a learner and not a doer, or are you an implementer? Like for me, and again, everybody's different. So I think one of the things that we've got to do in this business, and I've said this, I've been saying this for over a decade and a half. We have to be accountable, right? We have to have some type of accountability that we structure into our lives so that we're not just, getting stuck in some kind of weird circle of nothingness. And I know, just having been involved in the network marketing space as long as I have, that there's a lot of people that are in there and they're just doing nothing. They show up and look, there's a percentage of people that'll show up for every event. They'll attend every training. They'll be at everything. They buy products. And some of those people are just like, I wouldn't probably say that they're super happy that they're in that situation. They probably love to be making money. But there's a lot of people that will hang out for a long period of time and never really take the things that they've learned and put them into action. So I would just ask you to, so you're not stuck in this perpetual learning state. Again, I'm not saying don't be learning. Learning is an important thing to be doing, but it's the doing that makes the difference. So even when I end any event, like if I'm speaking at an event or I'm doing a Zoom training and I'm providing multiple points, multiple strategies or ideas during whatever that session is in front of an audience, literally or figuratively, like on a Zoom, I will many times finish up the training and say, look, guys, before you settle down or leave this event, look at your notes, go through your notes, and identify things that really stick out to you and throw a highlight through them or a star next to them. And even before you get in your car to leave this event, to start taking action. If you can get yourself in the habit of learning something and immediately applying it, that habit of going, okay, just learn this, I'm gonna put this into play. I just learned it, I'm gonna put it into play rather than I'm gonna learn it, and then it becomes a dusty journal that sits on your desk or in your closet, and it's all these wonderful ideas that could have a dramatic, help you create a dramatic shift in your business, but instead, they're just ideas sitting in a journal. So, this is one of those days, I suppose, where you can, ask yourself, am I a learner or am I a doer? Am I in a perpetual learning only state, or am I in an application of knowledge state? And it's very similar to social media. There's I think we can divide social media kind of in half. There's consumers and then there's producers. So if we're looking at social media specifically, there are people that are in consumption mode all the time, and that's the only thing that they do is consume. But then and many of these people I'm talking people that are in business, right? They're involved in a network marketing business, for example, but they're in just constant consumption mode and not application mode or production mode. So you and only you know what scenario that you're in, but awareness is the very first step towards creating change in your life. So sometimes we've got to, and this is part of the accountability aspect of being involved in network marketing, is asking ourselves some tough questions, and being brutally honest with ourselves. Like, am I really showing up the way I could be showing up? Could I be doing more? If I could be doing more, what does that look like? What are the reasons? What are the things that are, why will I do this? And what are the reasons why I won't do this? Like, we got to have these, again, we got to have these tough conversations. And I know I've had a number of videos, especially if you've plugged in the last handful or so, that many of them have mentioned accountability, because it's not built into network marketing. There is no accountability. You got to understand that. I mean, you got to come to straight up grips with the fact that there is no accountability that's built in. There's no structured accountability that's built into network marketing. This is, if it is to be, it is up to me when it comes to getting stuff done. We could sit here and try to blame our sponsor. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've heard, oh, it's my sponsor's fault. My sponsor wasn't there for me. Or, okay, fine, that sucks, but if you really wanted it, you'd figure out a way to make it happen. If you really wanted to succeed, you would figure out a way to make it happen. You would seek out the answers. You would go look for that stuff. So we have to be in this position of taking information that we learn and applying it into our business. I'll leave you with one other one. This just popped into my mind. So, and I've told this story before, I'm sure, but many years ago, I was in Costa Rica with a group of guys, and there was a guy there that was, very successful. He was not a network marketer. He owned a tech company, and he was doing very well. And a guy that he was coaching with said to him, he said, look, man, he goes, you say yes to too much stuff. You're like saying yes to this and yes to that and yes to the other thing and yes, yes, yes. And he goes, if you could just learn to say no to anything and everything that does not directly contribute to the execution of your game plan, you're going to succeed so much greater, so much faster, and so much more. And so that guy did that, and it took it to heart, took this advice, this good counsel from a friend of his, and he ended up ultimately massively accelerating the growth of that business to the point where he sold it for, 10x what he would have sold it for prior to that. The valuation increased because of production in that business increased. So it was interesting because I was like, wow, okay, well, I don't really consider myself a yes man, but there's definitely times where I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that. Yep. And I got into the habit of really being clear with, saying no to things. So here's the thing. If you have a plan in place, if you have, your plan is learning and doing, learning, growing, and doing in your business, and you have a plan for that. Like I don't read, like if I read a book, I really don't read books for entertainment value. I mean, the last time I can't even remember the last time I read just a straight up fiction book. All the books that I read are business, I'll just say business books, right? So with an intent, right? The intent is to consume the information, to learn it, to understand it, to comprehend it, and then to apply it into my business. So what kind of person are you? Are you a consumer or are you a producer? Are you a learner and then an implementer or just a learner? And these are questions that you want to ask yourself. And look, sometimes it takes a little help to get to the application, the action, the consistency state. A lot of times people kind of get stuck in this perpetual learning mode and they just need a little nudge. They need a little help. It's like, an object in motion tends to stay in motion. If we create a little bit of momentum, we can keep that momentum going. So I don't know what your situation is currently, if you're in momentum and things are cranking for you, and if they are, that's a beautiful thing. If for any reason they're not, or you need a little help, or maybe, things are going great, but they could be doing better. I don't know. I don't know too many people, even highly successful, highly productive people that would say, no, I've got zero room for improvement. I'm sure there are some people that are like that, but there's always room for improvement. So one of the things and opportunities coming up very, very soon, the details are on this post, is my A-Team. This is a 12-week, 90-day accountability program where I help you develop your skill sets, develop your confidence. You learn to really be accountable to your actions. It's, first and foremost, it is an accountability program. The analogy I always use when talking about it is it's kind of like hiring a personal fitness trainer, but for your business. So details are at toddfalcone.com/team. That should be on this page. You might be on my YouTube channel or listening to me on audio on my podcast, which is great. And the details on this particular episode, including A-Team and getting yourself registered, you can find details here at toddfalcone.com/episode 248, TODD. falcone.com/episode 248. Hope you're having an amazing day, and we'll see you next time.